Working with equations of lines, you should be familiar with the following terms and formulas that we've been talking about. You should have a very good understanding of slope. Remember, slope, cannot write in cursive, I don't know why I chose to. Slope, we use the letter M, and we define it as the change in y over the change in x. It is a measure of the steepness of a line, how fast a line rises over its run. I love thinking about slope as a fraction because it's so easy to see rise over run. Remember, positive slopes always go up from left to right, negative slopes go down, zero slopes are horizontal, and then the one we've neglected to talk about much is undefined slopes. Undefined slopes are vertical lines, meaning there is no M, and we'll talk more about that in a second. Another thing that you need to know is the y-intercept. The y-intercept is the point where a linear function or any function crosses the y-axis. It always has the coordinates 0, comma, some number. That number is the y-intercept. The x-coordinate is 0, the y-coordinate is the y-intercept. It's where a graph crosses the y-axis, any graph. In this specific case, we've been talking about linear functions. This is often denoted with the letter b in the formula or in the equation that we talked about yesterday, slope-intercept. So, y equals mx plus b is called the slope-intercept form of a line. You need to be able to know that when I say write the equation of a line in slope-intercept form. You want to know y equals mx plus b is slope-intercept form. Good? We should know how to find the slope between any 2 points using the formula y1 minus y2 over x1 minus x2. That's the same as y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Said another way, change in y over change in x. Let's talk a little bit about undefined slopes and this form of a line y equals mx plus b. If you have an undefined slope, then what you need to know is that you cannot use the form y equals mx plus b. This form can only be used when there is a slope. So because there's no slope, we can't use this form of a line. Undefined slopes come from vertical lines, and vertical lines will always have the equation x equals some number. So if I tell you there's an undefined slope that goes through the point 1, comma 3, all you have to think about is the coordinates 1, comma 3 are right here. If it's an undefined slope, then it's a vertical line, and so the equation of that line would be x equals 1. If I told you it was an undefined slope and it went through the point 3, comma 1, well, 3, comma 1 is over here. Again, undefined slope means vertical line. That would be the equation x equals 3. Should have used a different color there. This line here, x equals 3. This line here, x equals 1. The equation of a vertical line is always x equals some number, and it's the x-coordinate of the point on that vertical line. So another formula of a line, it's actually my favorite formula when coming up with equations of a line, is called the point-slope formula. Because all you need to write the equation of a line is a point, some x1, comma y1 on the graph, and the slope. If you have those two things, then you just plug them into this formula right where they are and you're done. So if I told you the point 2, comma 3 was on a graph and the slope of the line was let's say -5, then to write the equation of the line, It's y minus the y-coordinate equals the slope times x minus the x-coordinate. That's it. You're done. If you know a point on the line and a slope, all you have to do is plug in these numbers where they go in this formula. What's also really great about this is if I ask you to write the equation of a line in slope-intercept form, you start with point-slope, and then to get to slope-intercept form, all you need to do is solve for y. So notice when you distribute the -5, you get a plus 10 here. Now I add 3 to both sides, and I get y equals -5x plus 13. So this equation on the right is a different form of the equation on the left. This is point-slope. This is slope-intercept. They're both the exact same line. If I were to graph both of these on a grid, you would only see one line. But this one is really easy to graph. This one's really easy to write. And it's really easy to go from writing an equation to slope-intercept when you use point-slope. You can just write this equation and solve. The work that you're going to do in class is writing equations in point-slope and then writing equations in slope-intercept. Sometimes they give you the point and a slope. Sometimes they give you 2 points. But this is one of my favorite games to play in algebra, and it's write the equation of a line, and they just give you different information. I will tell you, point-slope is your best friend when it comes to writing the equation of a line. Let's try an example. I'm going to give you a point and a slope, and I want you to write the equation in slope-intercept form. So the slope of the line is -3/2, and the point is 4, -2. Write the equation of a line that has a slope of -3/2 and goes to the point 4, -2. Pause the video and then check your answer when you're done. Y minus the y-coordinate equals the slope times x minus the x-coordinate. Distribute the slope, deal with the minus and negative, y plus 2 equals -3/2 x plus 12 divided by 2, which is 6. Subtract 2 from both sides. Y equals -3/2 x plus 4. Now the only reason I did all the algebra over here on the right is because I told you to write the equation of a line in slope-intercept form. If I had asked for point-slope form, you could have stopped right there. But I asked for slope-intercept, so I had to do a little algebra. Slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. We love slope-intercept form because it's so easy to graph from. We love point-slope because it's so easy to write. It's also pretty easy to graph from point-slope. You just go to this point and use this slope to figure out another point. Let's try another example. Write the equation of a line that has an undefined slope and goes through the point -1, 8. Take a second to do that. This is a bit of a trick question. If it's an undefined slope, you can't use point-slope formula because it assumes there's an m. You can't use slope-intercept formula because it assumes there's an m or a slope. So what you have to remember is undefined slopes means x equals, look at the x-coordinate, and you're done. I know, that one was tricky. Let's try another one. Write the equation of a line that has a 0 slope. So now the slope is equal to 0, and it goes through the point 2 comma negative 7. You can use point slope here. Y minus the y coordinate equals the slope times x minus the x coordinate. 0 times anything is 0. And then solving for y, I get y equals negative 7. And there is another example of an equation that's pretty simple. Y equals a number. But this is an equation that can be written in slope-intercept form or point-slope form. It goes through the point 2, negative 7, which would be here. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then it has a 0 slope. So everywhere on that line, it's just y equals 7. The y coordinate is always, negative 7. Always negative 7. So again, all we're doing in class today is if you know the point on a line and the slope, you can write the equation of a line. My favorite way to ask this question is write the equation of a line that goes between the 2 points 3 comma 5 and negative 2 comma 8. I love this equation, or I love this question because it combines two of the skills we're working on. The first thing is we have to find the slope of the line by taking y coordinate minus y coordinate over x coordinate minus x coordinate. When we do that, we get 3 over negative 5 or negative 3/5. Now we have the slope and we have a point. And it doesn't matter which point you use. You write the equation of a line now by saying y minus 8 equals negative 3/5 times x minus negative 2, which is x plus 2. And I love this question because now you're done. You got to find the slope, which is something we practiced before, and then you just plug the numbers in. If somebody else writes the answer is y minus 5 equals negative 3/5 over x minus 3, they also will get the correct answer because they just used a different point. So both of these answers get full credit, and you can stop there if it doesn't say put it in slope-intercept form. If it says put it in slope-intercept form, all you have to do is distribute and collect like terms. Let's take both of those questions and let's distribute and collect like terms to show that they're the exact same equation of the line. So let me just kind of check these out, and here we go. I'll write these down. We should have the equation y minus 8 equals negative 3/5 times x plus 2. And that should be the same equation with y minus 5 equals negative 3/5 times x minus 3. So, doing a little algebra over here, y minus 8 equals negative 3/5 x minus 6/5. Now I'm going to add 40/5 to both sides. That's just getting a common denominator with these fractions. And I get y equals negative 3/5 x minus plus 34 over 5. I'm now going to do the same thing over here. Just solve for y. Y minus 5 equals negative 3/5 x plus 9/5. I'm now going to add 25/5 to both sides. That's just getting a common denominator. And when I add 25/5, I get y equals negative 3/5 x. 9 plus 25 is 34 over 5. You can see these are the exact same line. They just have, we just got to them from two different setups. So that must mean that these were the exact same line as well. Good? All right. That's it for the video. Get some rest. Talk to you soon. Peace.